Hey, what's up? Tonight, we're gonna talk about medieval life. Before you get comfy, if you like what I do here, go ahead and hit that like button and maybe subscribe and drop a comment with where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always cool to see who's tuning in. Alright, now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan or some chill background noise, and let's just ease into this story together. Medieval winter village. You arrive at the edge of a quiet medieval village in the heart of winter. The air is crisp and still, the kind of stillness that wraps itself around you like a heavy wool cloak. Snow rests gently on the roofs of timbered cottages. The thatch is white and soft, as if the entire village has been placed under a blanket of silence. You walk slowly along a narrow path of packed earth, now frozen and powdered with snow. Your boots make a muted sound, a crunch, a hush, a rhythm that carries you deeper into the settlement. The sky above is pale grey, the kind of winter sky that makes time feel slower, as if the day itself wishes to rest. A small church bell rings in the distance. Its tone is low and warm. It lingers in the cold air, then fades as silence takes its place once more. You notice the cottages around you. Each one is modest, built of timber frames and wattle and daub walls. In the medieval age, villages like this often relied on local wood and clay to build homes strong enough to endure long winters. From a chimney nearby, a thin ribbon of smoke rises. The smell of burning oak and pine drifts toward you, and you breathe it in, slowly, gently. The scent is comforting, a reminder that within those walls, families are gathered by the hearth, cooking simple stews, warming their hands, passing the long hours of winter nights. You continue walking, past a wooden cart, its wheels half buried in snow. In summer, it carried grain. In autumn, it carried apples and pears. But now, it rests, silent, waiting for the spring that is still far away. Your steps lead you toward the heart of the village, the centre where paths cross, where the small well stands, covered now by a wooden lid to keep the water below from freezing too deeply. You pause and let yourself simply stand in the stillness. You notice how sound travels differently here in the winter air. Every small movement feels magnified. The caw of a crow, the flap of its wings, the faint laughter of children playing indoors, seeping out from behind heavy wooden doors. The village feels timeless, as if it has always been here, and always will be. Inside the homes, you step inside, from the cold air into the warmth of a medieval home. The door closes behind you, heavy wood on iron hinges, and the outside world grows quiet. Inside, the air feels different. It is warmer, it is softer. It smells of wood smoke and herbs hung to dry along the beams. The light here is low, flickering from a central fire. There is no glass in the windows, only shutters. They are closed now to keep out the wind. The fire is the heart of the room. Every sound comes from it. The soft crackle, the pop of a burning log, the slow sigh of glowing embers. You notice the floor beneath you. It is hard earth, packed flat and smooth, sometimes sprinkled with straw to soften each step. and to absorb the damp of winter. The walls are made of wattle and daub, wooden frames filled with woven sticks, covered in clay and mud, then whitewashed for brightness. You run your hand across the surface. It is cool to the touch, rough yet sturdy. Homes like this were common across Europe in the Middle Ages. Simple, but strong enough to last through long winters. The roof above you is steep, thatched with straw to keep the snow from piling too heavily. From the rafters hang bunches of herbs, rosemary, thyme, sage. They were gathered in summer and now dry slowly in the warm air. The fragrance is gentle, a blend of smoke and spice. You see the central hearth more closely now. In many medieval homes, the hearth was the only source of heat. It was used for warmth, for cooking, and for light. A large iron pot hangs over the flames. Inside it, a slow stew simmers. Carrots, leeks, barley, perhaps a little salted pork. The scent rises, earthy, nourishing, a promise of comfort in the long night. On a nearby table sits a loaf of bread, dark, dense, made from rye or barley flour. Wheat was expensive and often reserved for wealthier households. Most villagers baked with coarser grains. The bread is thick and heavy, but it fills the stomach. It is enough. You look around this single large room. Families often live together here. Parents, children, grandparents, all in one space. Privacy was rare, but closeness was constant. And in winter, that closeness felt warm. Wooden benches line the walls. A simple table stands at the center. Clay bowls, wooden spoons, a jug of ale or small beer, a weak drink brewed from grain, safer than water from the well. A woman tends the fire. Her dress is of wool, dyed in soft muted tones, brown, grey, earth colours. Her hands move steadily, adjusting the pot, stirring slowly, sprinkling dried herbs into the stew. Her children play nearby. One carves a piece of wood with a small knife. Another shapes lumps of wax into small figures. They laugh softly. Their voices rise and fall, then fade into the warm air. In the corner, a man repairs a shoe, leather, worn thin from the frozen roads. He stitches carefully, using thick thread of flax. Shoes were precious in the Middle Ages. They were made to last. Each repair gave them new life. You sit quietly. The warmth seeps into you. The sounds of daily life surround you. Nothing urgent, nothing hurried. Only the rhythm of survival, the calm flow of winter evening. Above, from the rafters, you see bundles of onions. They hang like golden lanterns, stored for the season, to flavour stews, to keep illness away. Garlic, too, believed to be strong against sickness and against evil spirits. In another corner lies a pile of wool, spun into yarn, waiting to be woven. Beside it rests a loom, wooden, sturdy. Women wove cloth in winter evenings. The click of the shuttle, the stretch of the threads, a soft rhythm, like a song. The room is dim. Only the fire and a few candles blow. Candles were made from tallow, rendered animal fat. They gave light, but smoked and smelled. Beeswax candles burned cleaner, but were costly, often reserved for churches or noble homes. The family here uses tallow candles. Their flames are small, their glow uneven, but they are enough to push back the darkness. You notice how shadows dance on the walls. The beams glow warm, then fall into blackness. The flicker is gentle, soothing, like the rhythm of breath. You let your eyes wander. Every object here tells a story. The wooden chest near the wall, filled with linens and spare clothing. The iron pot hooks passed down through generations. The woven baskets holding grain, holding apples, each one made by hand. This home is simple, yet full of life, full of warmth, full of care. You close your eyes for a moment. You imagine the sound of the fire, the crackle, the pop, the hiss. It fills the silence. It eases the mind. It slows the body. You breathe and let the calm of the medieval hearth surround you. The fire glows steadily, and your eyes drift to the food that fills this place. Food is comfort. Food is survival. And in the deep cold of winter, food is memory of the sun. You notice the stew again. Simple, thick, made with barley, leeks and carrots. Sometimes with turnips, sometimes with beans. The ingredients change with the season, but the pattern is the same. Warm, slow, nourishing. Meat is rare here. Fresh meat, rarer still. In winter, villagers eat what they have preserved. Salted pork, smoked fish, cured sausages. They last for months, and they carry the flavour of summer's work. Salt is precious. It comes from distant coasts or from salt mines deep underground. Every grain is valued, every pinch a gift. The bread on the table draws your attention again. Dark bread, coarse bread. It is the food of ordinary people. Wheat bread was costly, the food of nobles and monasteries. But barley, rye, and oats, these filled the bellies of most. You break the bread in your mind. You imagine the sound, hard crust giving way, dense crumb inside. It is heavy, but with stew, it is perfect. Beside the bread, there is a crock of butter, made from cow's milk, when cows still gave milk in winter. Often butter was scarce this time of year. Cheese was more common. Hard cheese, aged and stored, could last through the season. A jug of ale rests nearby. It is small beer, brewed weak with little alcohol, but safe to drink. Water carried risk, germs unknown to them, but very real. So beer and ale became daily drink, even for children. It was part of life, part of safety. You look around the shelves. You see baskets filled with apples, picked in autumn, stored carefully in cool air. Some are shriveled now. Some are soft, but many remain, a sweet reminder of the orchard. Onions hang from the beams, golden skins shining in the dim light. Garlic too, sharp, strong, believed to fight illness, to protect against the unseen. A barrel sits in the corner. It is filled with salted fish. Perhaps herring. Herring was caught in abundance, preserved in salt, and traded across Europe. It was a staple in many villages, especially on days when meat was forbidden. Next to the barrel is a clay pot of honey. sweet, golden. Honey was precious. It was not only food, but medicine. It was spread on wounds. It was stirred into drinks. It was a luxury. Yet sometimes even the poor had a little. You imagine the taste. Bread, butter, a trace of honey. Simple, yet deeply satisfying. Another pot contains dried beans, broad beans, peas, stored for winter. They are the backbone of many meals, cooked into thick pottages, seasoned with herbs, always filling, always steady. Near the fire, a woman tends to the pot. She stirs with a wooden spoon. She tastes carefully. She adds a pinch of salt. Then a sprig of thyme. Cooking in the Middle Ages was not rushed. It was slow. It was steady. And it filled the house with warmth. You notice a wooden board with strips of dried meat. Perhaps venison, from a deer once hunted. Perhaps rabbit. Perhaps something smaller. It is smoked and dried. It can last through the weeks. It will be cut into stew or chewed slowly on its own. A jug of milk rests near the hearth, warm from the cow. It is rich, but it will not last long. Milk turns quickly without cooling, so most milk is turned into butter or cheese, preserved in another form. You picture the cellar below, cool, dark, damp. Here are turnips stored in sand, cabbages packed tightly, barrels of ale, sacks of grain. This is the hidden wealth of the home. Not gold, not silver, but food for the months ahead. Every item tells a story of preparation. The harvest gathered in autumn, the slaughter of animals before winter, the hours of drying, of salting, of smoking, all for this moment, for nights like this, when snow presses close and the hearth becomes the world. You imagine the sound of a knife on the wooden board. Chop, chop. Carrots cut into coins, onions sliced thin, roots from the earth turned into comfort. You imagine the smell rising, savoury, earthy, sweetened by carrots. Nearby, a child chews on a crust of bread. He dips it into the stew. He smiles faintly. His eyes grow heavy. Warm food. Warm belly, warm sleep. The family gathers slowly. They take their bowls. They share from the pot. One by one, together. Food is never wasted. Food is always shared. You feel the rhythm of the meal. Quiet voices, soft laughter, spoons scraping bowls. The fire crackling steady. The house feels alive. The house feels safe. And as you watch, you realize this is more than survival. It is tradition. It is comfort. The meal ends slowly, and the house grows quiet again. You notice the clothing around you. Wool. Always wool. It is the fabric of survival. Warm, durable, trusted. The man wears a tunic, long, simple, falling to his knees. Over it, he has a cloak, fastened with a simple brooch. The cloak is heavy. It carries the scent of smoke, the memory of the fire. The woman wears layers, a linen shift, soft against the skin. Over it, a wool gown, sometimes dyed with natural colours. Madder for red, woad for blue, walnut for deep brown. But often the tones are muted. Earth colours, simple colours. Colours of the soil and the forest. Children wear smaller versions. Tunic, wool hose, little cloaks. Everything made to be practical. Everything made to endure. Wool is everywhere. It is spun by hand, woven on wooden looms. Each thread takes time. Each cloth carries effort. It is the rhythm of winter nights, the steady turning of the spindle, the quiet beat of the loom. You imagine the sound, the creak of wood, the soft pull of wool fibres, the hush of hands at work. It is slow, repetitive, soothing. Over the wool, fur is sometimes worn. Sheepskin, rabbit fur, occasionally fox. Not for fashion, but for warmth. Always warmth. Shoes are leather, stiff, well used, stuffed with wool or straw in winter to keep the feet from freezing. You look around the room again. You notice the bedding now. Simple frames, wooden, low to the ground. On top, ropes woven tight. They hold the mattress. The ropes sag with time, and so, sometimes, they are tightened, pulled firm again. The mattress is stuffed with straw. Sometimes reeds. Sometimes feathers. But feathers are rare. Straw is common. It rustles softly when someone lies down. It carries the scent of the field. Blankets are heavy, woolen of course, layered thick. Sometimes fur is added. In winter, every scrap of warmth is needed. Sleep is survival. You imagine the family preparing for night. The fire burns low. The last embers glow. They spread the blankets. They tuck them close. The children curl together. Often they share beds. Warmth is shared. It is a comfort and a necessity. You picture the glow of a single candle. Soft, golden. It flickers on the wall. Shadows rise and fall. Then the flame is pinched out. Darkness deepens. Only the embers remain. Before sleep, sometimes prayers are whispered. Soft words, ancient rhythms, in Latin or in the tongue of the people. Words of thanks, words of protection, words to guard the night. The sounds of the house grow faint. The crackle of fire. The sigh of straw as someone shifts. The slow breath of sleep. You imagine the air, cool, still, carrying the faint scent of smoke, the sweetness of stored apples. The sharpness of garlic hanging nearby. It is the fragrance of winter life. Clothing is hung by the fire, so it will be dry by morning. Shoes are set aside. Cloaks are folded near. Everything ready for the next day. The house sinks deeper into silence. Outside, the snow continues to fall, soft, steady, wrapping the village in stillness. Inside, the family drifts into sleep. Children first, their breathing light. Then the parents, their rest heavy after the long day. The wool blanket holds them close. The straw mattress supports them. The roof above shelters them. And the fire, though small, lingers. It keeps the frost from the room. It keeps the night at bay. You feel the rhythm of medieval night. Simple, steady, safe within the walls. safe beneath the blankets. It is a world without rush, a world without noise, only the pulse of the hearth, only the comfort of shared sleep. In the darkness, dreams arrive, dreams of fields, dreams of harvest, dreams of warmer days. But for now, only winter matters, only rest, only the quiet embrace of night. And so the house settles, and so the family sleeps, and so the world grows still. Sounds of the night. The house has grown still, and you listen. At first, there is only silence, a deep, thick silence, like wool wrapped around the world. But slowly, you begin to hear the sounds of the night. The fire gives the first sound. Not loud, not sharp, just the gentle crackle of wood, the sigh of embers shifting, the faint hiss of sap within a log. It is steady, it is soothing, it is the heartbeat of the room. You hear a rope creak softly above the bed. The wooden frame adjusts. The straw mattress rustles faintly. A child shifts in sleep. The sound is small, barely there, but it belongs to the rhythm of the house. You listen more closely. You hear breath, slow, steady. One breath and then another. The rhythm of rest, the rhythm of life. Each exhale warm in the cold air, each inhale drawing in the faint scent of smoke. The house itself seems alive. Wooden beams groan quietly. They expand and contract with the cold. Stone walls hold the night outside, but sometimes they too seem to whisper. A faint settling sound. A memory of the day, now fading into stillness. You hear cloth shift. Wool blankets pulled closer. The faint rustle of linen beneath. Soft, gentle, barely more than a murmur. And then, beyond the walls, you begin to notice the world outside. The wind. It drifts against the cottage. Not fierce, not wild, but steady. A low hum through the thatch roof. A sigh as it curls around corners. The voice of winter itself. The snow makes its own sound. Not the heavy crash of rain, not the sharp tap of hail, but a hush, a muffling. The world grows softer under snow. Every noise wrapped in white, every echo gentled by frost. Sometimes you hear the soft fall of snow slipping from the roof. A muted thud, then silence again, as if the night quickly forgets. You imagine the village around you, other houses, other families, all wrapped in the same quiet, all sharing the same winter hush. A dog barks in the distance, brief, sharp, then gone. The sound carries through the still air, but fades quickly into snow. You think of the animals in the byre. Cows shifting on straw. Sheep huddled together. Each animal gives off warmth. Each breath clouds the air. Their sounds are soft. A low moo, a faint bleat. Rhythms of life, even in darkness. Back inside, the house remains calm. You hear the faint drip of water, snow melting near the hearth, a droplet landing in a wooden bucket. Plink, plink, slow and steady. You listen deeper still. You hear nothing loud, nothing sudden. Only the layers of small sounds, woven together like threads in cloth. The fire, the wind, the snow, the breath of sleepers, the shift of wood, all together forming music. Music of the medieval night. You imagine how different this is from the day. No hammer striking. No chatter of voices in the yard. No clatter of tools. The world withdraws at night. The world slows. The world rests. In monasteries, monks rise to pray at night. Their bells ring faintly across valleys. Sometimes a villager might hear the sound, a soft chime carried by the wind. It is part of the rhythm of the age. Even sleep bends around prayer. But here, in the village home, there is only quiet, only the soft sound of survival. The house listens with you. The house breathes with you. You notice how each sound rises and falls. The fire brightens, then dims. The wind lifts, then drops. The breathing shifts, then steadies again. Always changing, yet always calm. The medieval night is never silent, but it is never restless either. It is filled with quiet motion, small noises that soothe, sounds that say, all is well, all is safe, all is still. Outside the cottage, the night stretches wide, and you listen. The snow lies heavy across the fields. It softens everything. It muffles every step, every distant sound. But if you are patient, you will hear the quiet music that remains. An owl calls, low, drawn out. A note that seems to float forever before melting into silence. In the Middle Ages, owls were both feared and respected. Some villagers thought them omens, but many also saw them as guardians of the night. Birds who kept watch when humans slept. You hear the call again. Calm, unhurried. A reminder that life continues, even in darkness. Somewhere further off, a stream runs beneath the snow. You can almost hear it, a faint gurgle, muffled by ice. In winter, medieval villagers knew streams were lifelines. They carried water to mills. They gave power to grind grain. Even when hidden by snow, their quiet sound promised survival. The wind drifts differently now. It threads through bare branches. Wood taps softly against wood. Twigs scrape. Branches sway. No violence, just movement. Just the patient rhythm of trees standing through centuries. You imagine the village in its sleep. Thatched roofs blanketed in snow. Timber walls dark against the white. Each house holds its family. Each family wrapped in layers of wool and fur. All surrounded by this same stillness. Far away, you think you hear a bell. A church bell. Not loud, not bright, but deep. A single toll spreading through the night air. In the medieval world, bells marked time. They marked prayers. They marked hours. Even in sleep, the rhythm of the day continued. You let the sound drift by and then fade. From another cottage, faintly, a cough, a human sound, a reminder that others rest nearby. You imagine the hearth inside glowing low, a pot still warm, blankets pulled close, a family wrapped in quiet dreams. The snow itself seems to breathe. It shifts on rooftops. It slides in soft sheets from branches. When it falls, it lands with a muted sound, a sound almost like a sigh. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the animals outside. A horse stamps its hoof in straw. The leather creaks. The sound is steady, reassuring. For villagers, animals were wealth. Cows meant milk. Sheep meant wool. Horses meant labor. Their soft sounds at night were promises of life for tomorrow. The night has its own order, its own rhythm. Each sound comes, lingers, and fades. Owl, wind, snow, bell, breath. Together they weave a tapestry. Not busy, not rushed, but slow, patient, ancient. You imagine lying in your straw bed and hearing these sounds drift through the cracks of the cottage. They do not disturb you. They cradle you. They remind you of the wide world, beyond the walls, beyond the fire. Sometimes, in a medieval night, the stars were astonishing. With no smoke of industry, no glow of modern light. The sky spread vast, every star sharp, every constellation alive. Villagers knew the stars not as distant fire, but as guides, patterns for planting, markers for time. The quiet above was as much a sound as the quiet below, and beneath it all, silence remains. A silence so deep you can feel it. A silence that does not press, but opens. It gives space. It gives calm. It invites rest. You breathe with the silence, in and out, in and out, matching the rhythm of the night. The medieval world had no hum of machines, no rattle of wheels on stone after dark, no restless noise of traffic. Only nature, only human breath, only fire, only the night itself. And you are part of it, listening, resting, safe, calm, still. The night deepens. The air grows colder. You are still, listening. The fire inside the cottage has burned low. Only glowing embers remain. They shine softly, like hidden jewels in the hearth. Each spark pulses faintly, and then fades into shadow. This gentle rhythm, this rise and fall, mirrors the slow rhythm of your own breathing. The villagers of the Middle Ages knew this glow well. They counted on embers lasting until morning. A housewife would often cover the fire with ash to keep it alive through the night. In the morning she would stir the embers, blow gently, and bring the flames back to life. It was a task repeated daily, quiet, patient, essential. The glowing coals were the heart of the home. You imagine yourself watching them now, red, orange, fading to black. The warmth is soft. The crackle is nearly gone, and the room around you is dark. Not frightening, but protective, like a heavy blanket draped across the world. Above you, the wooden beams creak softly. They carry the weight of snow. The sound is slow, measured, almost like the sigh of an old friend. These beams were cut by hand, with axes and saws of iron. Carpenters shaped them carefully, fitting wood to wood without nails. Only pegs, only patience, only skill passed down from one generation to the next. The cottage walls are made of wattle and daub, branches woven together, covered with a mixture of clay, straw, and dung. It holds the warmth in. It keeps the cold out. And now, in the silence of night, it muffles the distant sounds of the village. You feel safe inside, wrapped in the care of long-forgotten hands. From outside comes the muffled call of an animal, a low sound. Perhaps a cow shifting in the barn. Perhaps a horse stamping gently against the frozen ground. Their voices are not sharp, not loud, but soft and steady. A reminder that life continues, even when human eyes are closed. In the Middle Ages, animals were vital companions. Cows gave milk that became butter and cheese. Sheep gave wool for warmth. Goats gave both milk and skins. And horses, patient and strong, carried loads and pulled carts. To hear them in the night was to hear security. To know that tomorrow they would rise with the sun and carry the village through another day. The wind moves across the roof again, but softer now, almost like a whisper. Snow falls from the thatch, landing with a gentle sigh. You picture the village under its white blanket. Cottages dark, streets empty, all the world still. Time itself seems slowed. You are drifting with it. A faint scent lingers in the air. Smoke, pine resin, dried herbs hung in the rafters. Villagers in the Middle Ages often stored herbs for medicine and for flavour. Rosemary, sage, thyme, and lavender. Some believed lavender under the pillow brought restful dreams. Others hung bunches above the door to protect against wandering spirits. The scents are faint but steady, earthy, comforting. They blend with the fading smoke and the cool air that slips through the cracks. You notice the weight of blankets around you. Thick wool, perhaps even fur, scratchy to the touch, but warm against the skin. Families often shared bedding in winter, not only for warmth, but for closeness. All gathered in one room. The sound of breathing filled the night. One steady chorus of life. Slow, restful, together. Outside, the village dogs stir. They lift their heads. They listen. Then they settle again. Their duty is to guard, but even they tonight feel the pull of sleep. The snow hushes every sound. The dark comforts every shape. There is no threat here. Only stillness. Only rest. Somewhere high above, the stars gleam, sharper than you have ever known them. The medieval night sky was vast and brilliant. Without lamps, without smoke, without machines. Every constellation was visible. Orion, Cassiopeia, the Pleiades. Villagers watched these stars as calendars. They knew when to plant, when to harvest, when to prepare for winter. But tonight, they do not study. They simply gaze. and drift into dreams beneath the endless sky. A rooster, restless, lets out a muffled crow, too early for dawn. He quiets again. Even time itself seems to pause. The night holds its breath, waiting. Inside the cottage, silence deepens. The last candle has long since burned away. Only shadows remain, and the embers, still glowing faintly, still keeping the memory of fire alive. You breathe with them, slow, gentle, safe. In monasteries, far beyond the village, monks may stir. Their night prayers break the silence at certain hours. Matins, lauds, voices rising in stone chapels, chanting in Latin, echoing under vaulted roofs. But here in the village, you hear nothing of that. Only stillness. Only the quiet rhythm of ordinary life at rest. The night is deep now. The world is heavy with peace. Every sound has softened. Every shadow has settled. And you are part of it. Your body draped in warmth. Your breath slow and even. Your mind quiet. Your spirit safe. Sleep gathers at the edges of your thoughts. It does not rush. It comes gently. Like snow falling. Like embers fading. Like stars shining across an ancient sky. You close your eyes. You surrender to the night. And the village, the animals, the fields, the church, the stars, all remain with you, holding you, guiding you, until morning light returns. Rest now. Sleep now. You are safe. You are home. Winter crafts and pastimes. The night has passed. The village rests beneath its white blanket of snow. Now, inside the cottages, life continues. Not hurried, not loud, but steady, calm, patient. In winter, when fields lie silent, people turn inward. Hands find work close to the fire. Simple tasks, gentle rhythms. Movements repeated through centuries. Movements that keep the body warm and the spirit at ease. You picture yourself in a low wooden room. Smoke-stained beams stretch above you. A faint glow lingers in the hearth. Around you, villagers have gathered with their crafts. The air hums, not with noise, but with quiet concentration. Each hand moves with care. Each mind drifts, steady as snowfall. Wool is everywhere. From sheep that graze the hills in warmer months, now spun, woven, shaped into warmth for winter. A woman sits with a distaff at her side. She teases wool into long fibers. Her spindle twists gently, dangling and turning. The sound is almost nothing, a faint whir as it spins. Then silence again. Thread grows slowly, winding onto the spindle. It is thin at first, but strong. A thread that will soon become cloth. Spinning was common. Almost every woman knew the craft. The work was steady, almost meditative. Hands busy, mind calm. Wool slipping between fingers. Fibers aligning, twisting into something lasting. You can almost feel it. Soft, oily, with lanolin. Warm against the skin. Beside her, another works a loom. Wooden beams creak softly as threads move back and forth. The shuttle slides through. The beater presses down, over and over, a rhythm as old as memory. Weaving is patient work. Hours pass quietly, and slowly, fabric grows. Wool into cloth, thread into protection. The sound is steady. Shuttle, beater, shuttle, beater. A rhythm you can fall into. A rhythm like breathing. You notice the colours. Dyes made from plants, stored through autumn. Woad gives deep blue. Madder root brings red. Walnut husks make warm brown. Onion skins glow golden. The cloth grows not only in weight, but in hue. The winter world outside may be white and grey, but inside threads bloom with colour. A quiet garden woven into fabric. Elsewhere in the room, a man carves wood. The knife scrapes softly, steady against grain. Shavings curl and fall to the floor. The smell of fresh-cut oak and ash fills the air. In winter, tools need mending. Handles replaced, stools repaired. Wood shaped into spoons, bowls, and toys. Nothing is wasted. Each piece has a purpose. The sound is soft. Carve, pause, carve, pause. Wood yielding beneath practiced hands. Children sit nearby. They watch. They listen. Sometimes they play with scraps of wool or stack small stones on the floor. Their games are quiet, simple, but filled with wonder. For in the long nights of winter, play is also a craft. Someone begins to tell a story. Not loud, not dramatic, but gentle, measured, carried by memory. Tales of saints, of far-off lands, of beasts and miracles. The voice rises and falls softly. The children lean close. The adults smile faintly. The story does not need to be new. It has been told before. It will be told again. Repetition itself is comfort. Words flowing like wool through fingers, threading minds together across generations. Stories in medieval homes were more than amusement. They carried history, lessons, faith, a way of binding the community. You feel this now, as the voice drifts over you, as the images rise gently in your mind. Then comes music, not from grand instruments, but from simple ones. A wooden flute, a small harp, a drum made from stretched skin. Notes rise slowly in the dim light, one by one, soft, fragile, yet steady. They echo off the wooden walls. They mingle with the crackle of fire. They drift upward into the beams and into your heart. Music in medieval villages was part of daily life. It brightened long evenings. It gave rhythm to work. It soothed weary minds. You imagine the tune now, not complex, not hurried, but like the fall of snow. Even, gentle, timeless. By the hearth, another craft unfolds. Hands knot fibres into nets. Fishermen mend what was torn. Loops pass through loops. The net grows slowly. It will not be used until spring. But winter is time for preparation. The work is steady, repetitive, soothing. and useful. Each knot is a promise. Each knot is a future meal. In the corner, candles are being made. Tallow melted in a pot. A wick dipped, hung to cool. Dipped again, and again, layer after layer. The candle grows slowly. The wax pale and soft. Soon it will bring light to dark hours. A small flame, but enough to guide, enough to comfort. You picture baskets too, willow rods soaked in water, hands bending them into shape, weaving over and under, over and under. The sound is a soft creak of fibers. The baskets will hold grain, or wool, or herbs for medicine. Each weave strong, each pattern simple, and each basket, like the cloth, like the net, like the candle, a part of life that endures. The room is filled with these sounds: spindle whirring, loom creaking, knife carving, story flowing, flute sighing, thread moving, basket bending. Each sound small, each sound human. Together they form a gentle music, a harmony of winter life. Not for show, not for pride, but for being, for enduring, for living in rhythm with the season. And still, between these sounds, silence rests. The silence of snow pressing against the walls. The silence of fields lying fallow. The silence of time slowed by winter. It weaves itself through every craft. It holds every sound. It deepens every breath. You imagine yourself joining in, perhaps spinning wool between your fingers, perhaps carving a simple shape from wood, perhaps only listening. Your body steady, your mind calm, your breath in rhythm with the work around you. This is how winter passes. Not in haste, not in idleness, but in quiet creation. One thread, one story, one song, one flame at a time, outdoors in the snow. Morning arrives gently. The winter sky is pale, soft as linen. The world outside is hushed, wrapped in frost. You step out from the warmth of the cottage, and the cold greets you like a quiet companion. Your boots sink into fresh snow. It is crisp, it is light. Each step leaves a mark, a simple pattern drawn across the white. Breath rises in clouds, slow, calm, disappearing into the air. The village is still. Low houses line the narrow lanes. Thatched roofs carry thick snow, heavy but beautiful. Smoke curls from chimneys, straight and steady in the cold air. The smell of wood and peat lingers, warm even from a distance. It reminds you that every fire inside is alive. Every hearth is a heart. You pause to listen. There is little sound, just the faint creak of snow beneath weight. The muffled call of a crow on a rooftop. A far-off bell from the church tower. Each sound is gentle, measured, wrapped in silence like a gift. The church stands in the centre of the village. Its stone walls rise above the cottages. Snow clings to its ledges. Icicles glimmer at the edge of the roof. The bell tolls slowly. Once, then waits, then again. The sound spreads through the air, low and steady. Not a command, but a presence, a reminder of rhythm, of time moving even in winter's stillness. You walk past barns. Animals stir within. A soft low of cattle, the rustle of straw. Warm breath rising into the chill. Villagers carry hay to them. Pitchforks move slowly, carefully. The hay is golden against the white snow, a contrast of seasons. Autumn's gift sustaining winter's hunger. In another pen, sheep cluster together, their wool thick, their bodies pressed close. Snow gathers on their backs, but they do not mind. They know this season. They have always known it. A shepherd moves among them, cloak wrapped tight, a staff in hand, boots leaving deep prints behind. His dog pads silently at his side, faithful, steady, content. You wander further, past the cottages. A path leads beyond the village walls. Snow lies deep here, untouched, unbroken. The fields stretch wide beneath the pale sky. Fences stand like lines of ink across parchment. Hedges wear coats of frost. Every branch crystal white, every twig etched with ice. The land sleeps, yet it glimmers. A river lies not far away, its surface half frozen. Water moves beneath, slow and dark. On the edges, clear ice catches the light. Patterns form like delicate glass. You kneel beside it. Listen. The faint trickle of water. The crack of shifting ice. Quiet music. Winter's song. Beyond the river, a forest waits. Tall trees rise, their branches bare. Snow lies thick on roots and stumps. The air is colder here, shaded, still. A woodcutter works in silence. A steady rhythm of axe and paws. A log splits. The pieces fall. He gathers them, stacking carefully. Each log fuel for nights to come. Birds move through the trees. Not many. A few sparrows. A raven. Their wings beat against the stillness. Their calls echo softly, never loud. You watch them, small lives enduring winter. Fragile yet strong, each movement a note in the quiet symphony of the woods. Snow begins to fall again. Not heavy, not hurried, but gentle. One flake, then another, then countless more. They drift through the air. They land on your cloak, on your hood, on the ground that already shines. The world softens. Edges blur. Silence deepens. You walk slowly back toward the village. The lane curves between hedges heavy with snow. You see children outside now. They roll snow into shapes, not wild, not loud. Just laughter like bells, light and scattered. Their cheeks glow red against the white. Their mittens damp but warm. A mother calls gently from a doorway. Her voice blends with the falling snow. Near the church, a few villagers gather, with words spoken softly. The sound of conversation carries lightly in the air. They exchange bread, wood, small gifts for need. Winter teaches sharing. It always has. It always will. You pause to look once more at the scene. The cottages with smoke rising, the church with its bell, the barns with animals safe inside, the snow falling gently over all. There is no rush. There is no fear. Only the quiet strength of winter. Only the simple life of the medieval village. And as you stand there, you feel it again. The stillness, the patience, the calm. The way every step, every sound, every breath belongs to the season. Winter outdoors is not empty. It is full of presence, full of quiet beauty, full of peace. Return to rest. Evening settles slowly. The sky deepens, turning from pale grey to soft indigo. The snow outside darkens, its surface reflecting only the faintest glow of the moon. Shadows stretch, long and quiet. The village becomes still once more, and you return to the cottage. The wooden door opens with a gentle creak. Warmth greets you, rising like a blanket. The air inside carries the fragrance of wood smoke. The glow of the hearth spreads across the room. Golden light touches the beams, the walls, the straw upon the floor. It is steady, it is calm, it is home. You remove your cloak. You hang it upon a wooden peg. Snow melts slowly from the fabric, droplets falling with the faintest sound. Boots are set aside. Woolen socks press against the warmth of the floor. The body softens. The breath eases. The day begins to fade. The fire whispers. Flames curl upward. Wood cracks gently, releasing sparks that vanish into the chimney. The light flickers upon the faces gathered close. Children lean against their mothers. Elders close their eyes, listening more than speaking. There is no rush, only presence, only warmth. The table holds simple bread, a clay cup of warm ale, a small wedge of cheese, saved for winter nights. The meal is plain, yet it is enough. Hands move slowly, breaking, sharing, tasting. Voices hum in quiet conversation. Laughter rises softly, not sharp, but like the sigh of a string pulled gently. It lingers, then fades, like breath upon glass. Beyond the window, the snow still falls. Thin flakes drift in the dark. The sound is silent, yet you feel it. The steady rhythm of winter. The village sleeps. Animals rest in barns. Sheep breathe slowly in their pens. The church bell is silent now, its last note carried into night. All is calm. A candle burns near the hearth. Its flame dances, golden and steady. Wax softens and pulls, dripping slowly down its side. The light bends and sways, yet never falters. It is like a heartbeat, slow, rhythmic, endless. You lie down upon straw softened by cloth. Woolen blankets cover you, thick and heavy with warmth. The scent of lanolin lingers faintly in the wool. Your body sinks into the bedding. The straw shifts, embracing every curve. You exhale, and the weight of the day leaves you. Around you, others settle too. A cough in the corner. The shuffle of someone turning. the sigh of a child already deep in sleep. These sounds are not disturbances. They are part of the night's lullaby, part of the rhythm that carries you downward, downward into stillness. The fire glows lower now. Its heart is red, pulsing softly, no longer fierce, but gentle. Its warmth continues, steady and sure. The shadows upon the walls grow longer. They stretch, they fade, they disappear. Your breathing slows. Your eyes soften. The lids grow heavy. And you feel the weight of centuries, of countless winters lived before, of countless nights when villagers, just like you, lay down in straw and wool. Sheltered, at rest. The world outside remains cold, but here inside there is only warmth, only the sound of fire and breath, only the promise of morning that will come again, and again, and again. The night holds you gently, the cottage holds you still, the season holds you close, and slowly, softly, you drift down into slumber, down into silence, down into peace.